Season's greetings and Happy New Year to Donna and to Janine, who asked for the mock turkey recipe. They say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, so I am going to record the process for you. The first thing in making mock turkeys, you have to make your own gluten. So what we have here is 10 pounds of unbleached flour that we're going to use to make our gluten. And what I have here is water in the bosh, and we're just going to add the flour and make a dough out of this. Okay, I made a huge mess here. And what I did is I added flour to make a dough about the consistency of bread dough. We're going to let this mix for about 10 minutes to really work the gluten in the flour. And I made a horrible mess here, but it'll clean up. So I used almost 5 pounds of flour. So this is our first batch. Once the dough has been kneaded well to work out the gluten proteins, the washing process starts, where all the starches are removed from the gluten. It's a really messy, sticky process that we've never done it before. And there comes a point where it appears that everything is going to go down the drain right before you get just to the gluten. Here's some gluten that is almost has all the starch washed out, but it's still falling apart. When all the starch is washed out, it'll be quite sticky, and you'll know through there when you have everything washed out. You just have the gluten there. The gluten is washed to get all of the starches out. Before the washing process is complete, it almost completely falls apart, but you have to keep going until you're left with sticky gluten like this. This is gluten that's been washed. It's very, very sticky and sticks together. So this is, if you've never made gluten, this is what the end product should look like. Okay, this is what 10 pounds of unbleached flour, this is the gluten results from 10 pounds of unwashed flour, you can see. You do not have to make homemade gluten. You can use gluten flour, but the texture will be a little bit stiffer than homemade gluten.
Maybe I'll get 4 of those.
Once you've got your gluten, either by doing it the old-fashioned hard way like we've just done, or using gluten flour, we're ready for the next step. You can do gluten a lot of different ways. You can boil it in broth and make gluten steaks out of it. You can bake it in a baking dish covered with teriyaki sauce for gluten steaks, which are really yummy. But today we're doing mock turkey, and this is the process for mock turkey. The 10 pounds of flour that we use is going to be shaped in four rolls. What you need is cheesecloth or muslin, doesn't really matter. These are old, these are my mother's mock turkey cloths that she's had probably 60 years, I don't know, a long time, 50 years maybe. You place the gluten in on the cloth and roll it tightly like a sausage. Just roll it up tightly, tie the ends together. You want the gluten as compacted as possible. So you tie the ends together, and then she's going to put a couple stitches and sew the rest of it shut. By the way, I'm here helping my 82-year-old mother make mock turkey, which we're going to be having on New Year's.
We're gonna have shish kebab.
So she's just sewing the loose end down, and she's going to continue the process with three more rolls. Okay, so here's our first gluten sausage. And we're just going to roll up the other three. So again, the 10 pounds of flour will make about four rolls here. Wet your cloth. Meanwhile, you should have a large kettle of water going. Squeeze the water out of the gluten. Squeeze it all out. This is the fourth roll.
Tie the tails.
Tie the ends off. And then sew the loose end. Basically just to secure it. Big stitches are okay. And preferred because you're going to have to cut the thread later. So there's a lot of many different ways that the gluten can be prepared, and this is the only recipe I know that gluten is prepared in this manner, like a sausage. So there are our 4 gluten sausage rolls, and I think we're about to put it in the pot. The gluten rolls are submerged in water, and they will be boiled for at least an hour. We'll time it and see how long it takes.
Cold water.
Here are the gluten rolls. They were boiled for an hour and then cooled in water. You can see they're quite firm, like kind of the consistency of fairly firm rubber. So boiling it in water for an hour should should do it for these.
I'll open one.
My mother's going to open one.
It can be frozen when it's...
And what she does is sometimes she'll make, she usually makes 20 pounds of, uses 20 pounds of flour. So she would have about double this amount. And then she freezes the rolls can be frozen and then dealt with later. Since this is the most labor intensive part, the gluten making, if you make it ahead and freeze it, you always have something you'll always have something available for a special occasion. Here are the 4 gluten rolls unwrapped and ready for the next step. The next thing in prepping for the mock turkey is you need 2 heads of garlic. Not cloves, but 2 heads. Here are the cloves all peeled and ready to be chopped up. Run the garlic cloves through a press or a food processor.
I'll tell you to bring that.
Add half a cup of oil and half a cup of water to the garlic mixture. This is the marinade for the mock turkey. Half a cup of equal parts of water and oil, and she put in half a cup of water and half a cup of oil. Several shakes of seasoned salt.
Optional.
Black pepper is optional. She just added about 2 teaspoons of salt. She was too fast for me with my, she did it before I got the camera going here, so 2 teaspoons of salt approximately. You add enough salt to adequately marinate the gluten, which has no salt in it. You can always add more salt later, which is usually what we do. So you can taste your mixture, and it might be just a tad salty. The next part is shredding the gluten, and basically you just tear off little pieces, or that one's too big, it'll be made smaller. If you freeze this, of course the gluten would have to be completely thawed out.
In the microwave? Fine.
Or you could put it in the microwave to thaw it out. This was stored overnight in the refrigerator. It was a little cold, so she put it in the microwave for a little bit too, so it wasn't quite as cold. So you just tear it all up like this. Okay, so here are the 4 rolls of gluten torn into large shreds. My mother's going to add her garlic oil marinade over it. And mix it well. The gluten needs to marinate at least overnight, and by tomorrow it'll be ready to fry. And it will be fried until the outside is nice and crisp. The whole house will kind of smell of fried garlic. So if you like garlic, this is the recipe for you. But it's just delicious. We had this at Thanksgiving, you know, with our mashed potatoes and gravy and dressing. But because it's New Year's, this batch of mock turkey is going to be skewered into veggie shish kebabs, and I'll get a picture of that on Sunday when we assemble it for our big New Year's dinner. The mock turkey is fried using just the oil of when it was marinated in until it's cooked up. Again, this can be served with gravy and dressing, mashed potatoes at Thanksgiving time, or used in shish kebab, which we're going to do today. There's the end product.
So they have a regular curriculum there and everything.
Happy New Year's to you.